The biggest mistake home buyers make isn't overpaying in today's market. It's letting the fear of the crash you read all about paralyze them from building wealth through real estate altogether. I've watched many families miss out on hundreds of thousands of equity because they're waiting for the perfect market timing that never came. And right now, especially now, with interest rates still a little elevated and home prices are at record highs in lots of markets, definitely here in Philly and the burbs, I'm hearing the same question from anxious buyers every day. What happens if I buy today and everything crashes tomorrow? I get it, especially if you witnessed your parents lose everything in 2008. But here's what the experts won't tell you. The decisions you make in the next 6 to 12 months could either set you up for decades of financial security or leave you perpetually chasing an ever more expensive market while throwing away thousands of dollars in rent. And contrary to what you're reading on YouTube and scrolling through these housing predictions, might you believe there are specific actionable strategies that can protect you if the market takes a downturn after you sign this closing paper. So today, I'm pulling back the curtain on exactly what triggers housing crashes, what actually happens to homeowners when markets collapse, and most importantly, the exact blueprint for what to do if you find yourself underwater on your mortgage. No sugarcoating, no hype, just the real world strategies here. Now, the things that I've personally used to help my clients do the same. You gotta listen all the way through here, guys. All these things count. Let's get started. First, let's talk about what is a housing crash. Well, a crash in the housing occurs when home prices drop significantly over a short period of time. This is exactly what happened during they call it the Great Financial Crisis of 2008. People lost their jobs, couldn't make their mortgage payments, and the home values plummeted. Several economic factors can trigger a housing crash. Economic recession. When the broader economy struggles, people lose jobs or face income reductions. They pull back on major purchases like homes, reducing demand and cause prices to fall. Or overinflated home prices. When house prices rise dramatically, but incomes don't keep pace, we create a bubble. And that's what people are thinking about right now. That's what people say, oh, we're gonna get a bubble. The bubble's going on. That's what happened leading to 2008. Home prices shot up dramatically while wages remained relatively stagnant. And this is a disconnect that you have in an unstable market that's either prone to correction or crash. And then we have excessive housing supply because builders construct too many homes and suddenly demand drops and they end up with oversupply. Too many homes with too few buyers leads to price reductions. And currently, most markets are experiencing the opposite, low inventory with high demand, especially here in Philly and the burbs, even with these higher interest rates. And don't forget risky lending practices. Oh my God, they would just give a mortgage to anybody who breathed back in 2001 to 2007. Many mortgage companies offer loans to just practically anybody, really, even if they couldn't afford them. There was these adjustable rate mortgages, they call them the ARMs. They start with this low rate, increase dramatically after a few years. All these things are part of a housing crash. So what's the impact of these housing crashes? What's the impact, Diane? Let's talk about what happens first. One, you're gonna have plummeting house values. The more immediate impact is that your home becomes worth less than what you paid for it. Maybe you purchased a home for $500,000, the market crashes, your home may be valued at $400,000 and an instant loss of $100,000 in equity. Or maybe there's decreased buyer demand because once prices start falling, potential buyers, they wait on the sidelines hoping prices will drop even further. So this reduced demand can push prices down even more, creating a negative cycle. Who knows? And also you have stricter lending standards because after the 2008 crash, they were giving loans to just anybody. The lenders tightened their requirements significantly. That makes it really hard for people to qualify for mortgages right now. And that reduces buyer demand. And of course, you can't forget about the rise in foreclosures that happen. When people can't make their mortgage payments, foreclosure increases. That's what happened in this 2008, particularly for homeowners with adjustable rate mortgage. They couldn't afford the rate anymore because the adjustable rate, maybe you have a fixed interest rate for 5 to 7 years. After that period, then adjust based on market conditions. And during the housing crisis, many homeowners saw their monthly payments skyrocket when their initial period ended. They couldn't afford the new payments. These types of loans, though, today are not common, and regulations have improved to protect the consumers as well. So what's the personal impact on you as a homeowner if this happens to you? If you bought a home and the market crashed and shortly after, what could I do? How is it going to affect you personally? Well, first, you're going to have negative equity. You're underwater. If your home's value drops below what you owe on your mortgage, you have negative equity. For instance, if you borrowed $400,000, but your home is now worth $300,000, you're underwater by $100,000. So what's the big deal? You might ask. Well, negative equity creates several challenges. One, you can't refinance at all. Maybe you want to refinance and take advantage of lower interest rates. You can't do it. You can't do it without equity in your home. Lenders need to see that your home is worth more than what you owe. And if you want to sell, you got a lot of complications there. Maybe you have to relocate on a job or have a life change. You face a lot of difficulties. Because you owe more than the home is worth, you need to bring cash to closing to make up the difference. And most people don't have that, right? Let me share a story of one of my clients. They bought their first home in 1998. They paid $310,000. By 2005, 2006, their home's value nearly doubled to like $600,000. And at the time they called me, they considered upgrading to a larger home, but ultimately decided to stay put. And that proved to be fortunate because when the crash hit, her husband lost his job. And had they stretched themselves with a larger mortgage, they might have faced serious hardship, financial hardship. Now, they eventually sold it in 2012 with us, and the value had recovered somewhat to like, I think it was $440, not back to the peak, but enough that they could walk away with some money in their pockets. But a lot of families I've dealt with, they just weren't so lucky. And I do understand a lot of millennials tell me they've witnessed their parents go through foreclosure and severe financial stress during this time, and that trauma has kept with them. It's making home buying for them really frightening. So what do you do if you buy and the market crashes? It's the big question of the day, right? What should you do? Well, some practical steps. One, remain calm, all right? I know it's not a good time, but remain calm, especially for long-term homeowners. If this is your forever home, you plan to stay for 10 plus years, the housing market will recover. It's historically recovered. The value may take several years to come back, but it's almost certain it will, if you can wait it out. Now, the biggest concern would be if you needed to refinance while underwater, which wouldn't be possible. So if you're not planning to sell or refinance soon, you can simply continue making your payments and wait for the market to recover. Next thing you could do is contact your lender. If you're struggling, if you lose your job or face financial hardship and struggle to make payments, just reach out to your mortgage lender right away. They may offer a loan modification. The bank may modify your loan to reduce your monthly payments temporarily until you get back on your feet. They can give you forbearance. There's tons of forbearance programs that lenders offer. Basically, that will allow you to pause or reduce payments during financial hardship. They did that during the pandemic where people were able to stop their mortgage, but then they had to stop back again. And the third thing is options to consider if you have to sell. If you absolutely must sell underwater, you have some limited options. You can bring cash to closing. I know it sounds bad, but if you have some savings, you can pay the difference between what you owe and what your home sells for. That's not a fun one, but that's an option. The other thing you do is short sale. We did a lot of short sales back in 2009, 10, 11, and that's extreme. If you can't afford your mortgage due to some job loss or medical bills, you might qualify for a short sale. You have to have a hardship. This is where the bank agrees to accept less than what you owe and writes off the difference. This will impact your credit score, but not as bad as if you do a complete foreclosure, okay? Now, these short sales are just not available because your home value dropped. They typically need to you have to demonstrate a genuine financial hardship, like losing your job or something like that. But have no worries. Today's current market conditions, I don't foresee any of this. It's so different. We have the stricter lending standards. The mortgage qualifications are so much harder to get a mortgage. Lenders verify income, assets, your firstborn, they want everything, they want blood from you. And they really look at your ability to repay much more thoroughly. Two, there's less predatory lending out there because these adjustable rate mortgages that contributed to the 2008 crisis, they're less common and they're better regulated. And the third thing is supply and demand. Surely, unlike 2008, we have a housing shortage. It's going to be like this for the next 2, 3, or 4 years, not an oversupply. I see more home sellers now calling me to go on the market now. They feel more. And I think it has to do with the economy and having a new president in charge. I think that helps a lot. And of course, equity positions. Homeowners generally have substantial equity. If you bought a house even last year for $400, it's probably worth $450 this year. So that's why you're not going to see a lot of this. Now, we will see some price corrections in some overheated markets. Most housing experts aren't predicting a crash. Some of them on YouTube say that just to get you to watch their videos, but honestly, it's not going to happen. So I really hope this video has eased some of your concerns about buying a home in today's market. Remember these key points. Housing crashes are typically triggered by broader economic factors like recessions, overinflated prices, and excess supply. Don't have that. And if you're planning to stay in your home long-term, short-term, market fluctuations matter less. And there are options also available if you face financial hardship after purchasing. And today's market has significant difference from the 2008 crash. So if you're concerned about them, please speak to a professional, talk to your lender, give me a call. I can tell you what's going on. Maybe you need to consult with your financial advisor. Also, you can research historical trends in your specific market too, but just be cautious about alarming headlines and people who are creating these constantly predicting crashes. It's ridiculous. News outlets just for the views, and they don't have your best interest at heart. So if you're looking to buy or sell and need a trusted real estate agent in your market, I can help. Just click the link in the description, fill out the form. If you need an agent, I can connect you with the reliable, trusting agents in your area within 24 hours. But if you really, really want to avoid common mistakes when dealing with agents, check out this video I did. Oh my God. Never say this to a real estate agent. It'll save you time, money, and maybe even a deal. Click right here to watch it right now.